Hello Commanders, Commander Plater here, and welcome to today's live stream. Hope you're all doing very well and you guys are all having a nice Sunday. If it's Mother's Day and you're a mother, happy Mother's Day. You probably had quite a tough year dealing with children. Or maybe you haven't got children, maybe you're older. Who knows? Anyway, happy Mother's Day. Hope you're doing well. I've seen my parents today, seen my mother, got some flowers and a card. It's all very nice, had some lunch. Lovely. But today we are back with another Superfriendos roundtable. It's been quite a while since we've had one of these. You lovely people get me to yourself for a whole 2 minutes before everyone else joins in. I figured I'd intro the stream, have a chat, let you guys know what we're talking about today. Now, we're not doing something as simple as just reviewing the Odyssey gameplay footage. We've kind of been over that quite a lot already. But what we will be talking about is kind of things that we're looking forward to testing, things we're going to be trying out, and kind of some things that we might have noticed, or some discussion points that we really want to bring up about Odyssey and the alpha and the way it's coming and all that kind of stuff. But I will say a quick hello to everyone that has joined so far. So Weejet, Oppressor, Slumber, Delta V, Gypsy, Pro-Rock, Mr. C North, Micro, Tom, Tobler. How are we doing? Yeah, Micro, Mother's Day isn't for another week, is it? I think. My wife's American, so she said the same thing where she's like, do I say it? So I say Happy Mother's Day to my mother anyway? Or do I wait? It's like, if you do both, you can never go wrong, can you? The good news is that the UK one's first, so there's always that. Hey Hunter, how you doing? So we're talking about how we're going to science the shit out of this. I mean, there's no harm in sciencing things, that is for sure. And I am so looking forward to the prospect of doing all of that. In the background, I'm probably doing a sort of bounty hunting over in my home system and all that kind of stuff. So Mother's Day's in May in Canada. Oh, but we're not. So that'd be fun. But right, I am going to be unmuting myself and joining some of the others now, and we'll get all into it and going from there. But guys, hopefully, should be an interesting read. I will be keeping an eye on chat, just so you know, but I won't necessarily be responding to everything as usual, because we're having a chat and a discussion as a roundtable chat. But if you do have any pressing questions in the chat, you've got to let me know, because I am reading it. I am keeping an eye on it. But yeah, I suppose let's get on this. Oh yeah, these are all the people. These are all the people joining. We'll put it intro anyway. Don't worry, it's cool.
Tracks and the lovely Commander Burr.
I would dispute that.
Okay, that is the voice of Jay and Trax and the super sexy Commander Burr.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
Coming in hot. There you go. Hello, hello.
Hello.
I'll probably not do that ever again.
No, please no.
As another Brit, I would recommend against it.
That's all of London offended.
Oh, well, that's okay. Let's see. With regard, okay, we've got other people watching this stream live. Plater, that's Plater here. Obviously, you could hear his voice.
That's me.
You could hear the disdain in his voice.
Ugh, America.
Hello, guys. Do you guys have stream problems as well on YouTube, or is it just me?
Oh, hang on.
My
Yeah,
stuff
mine.
just
Yeah,
froze.
ours is frozen.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Checking.
Is everybody else frozen?
Yeah, mine just completely died.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Mine too.
Wow, how odd is that? Okay, it's really laggy. It is moving,
I'm back
but
up.
it's laggy.
I think mine's working.
All right, so for those of you listening at home, ladies and gentlemen, apparently every last one of our streams just took it.
Mine's
Yes.
alright,
Break
actually.
for a moment.
Okay.
Well, not
I think
Plater.
it's okay.
I think it's alright.
I'm invincible, apparently.
I'm glad it's not just me. I was like, that's perfect timing. Like, I had 30 seconds until it's booked to go live, and everything just went down. Well.
All right, but we're confirming everybody's good and up now.
I'm just live on Twitch. I'm not sure if YouTube is up yet for me.
I am live both on YouTube and Twitch. I'm seeing them both myself, so I can confirm. They did both freeze, but they are now back up. So, yay!
I'm just gonna verify my own stream here, just to see.
Okay.
I'll verify with you.
Well, that was a smooth start, wasn't it?
Seamless.
Good news is I've got people telling me that mine is fine, but I know that, as Ashley just mentioned, you're streaming to Twitch as well, aren't you? So people can catch it.
Yeah, I'm
both.
dual streaming.
Okay, ours has just started moving again, literally, by the look of it.
I'm looking
Sabotage
at
work.
Astro's is still spinning.
Yeah, mine's still spinning.
Hit the refresh on yours.
I am.
Okay, that's weird. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with us for just a moment or two. We're sorting out some technical difficulties with a couple of people's streams, and we'll be with you. In the meantime, we have the lovely Commander Burr, who will sing you a lullaby. Go.
Oh, okay, hang on.
Okay.
Once there was a lonely goat, hoodly, hoodly, hoodly. Is that what you were after?
I mean,
You didn't think I'd do anything, did you? You didn't think I'd go with that, but oh no.
Was anyone else
This is the
expecting a
challenge Burr, by the
sensible,
way, it's-
professional stream today? Anyone else expecting that, but is now sorely disappointed as we've had
Good luck with that.
Burr yodeling?
Good luck with that.
let me tell you
Hey,
something.
Astro,
Burr
looks like you're
yodeling
up.
is the highlight. Go ahead.
Oh, for crying out loud! Now it's just been
Astro, I can see your countdown now.
my countdown.
Yeah, ours is laggy
Yeah,
as hell.
I see you
good.
live at like 4.5, or am I watching a replay? Oh shoot, never mind. I'm gonna shut up. I think I'm watching
Wow.
a replay.
I'm just gonna say that when Astro said "for crying out loud," when a Dane says "for" and then waits a little bit before the crying out loud, I thought, "Wow, we changed
Yep.
the rules on these streams."
Here it comes. Yep.
Hold on. Can you guys give me 2 minutes?
Sure, no worries.
Of course,
brother.
mate. No, of course, of
It's
course.
all good.
In the meantime, let's just I'm gonna just take over while Astro's doing his whatever and get things started by saying, how has everybody been? Burr, how is the Burr and Rini and Reno household going? How are the Burrs?
Oh, good. All right. Yeah, not bad, mate. I mean, it's well, everybody's dealing with nonsense and rubbish at the moment, aren't they? So it's we've been in complete lockdown. Haven't been to work for about 12 weeks. And have been completely locked down in the house. So that, in that regard, it's been absolutely hellish, really. But the burp, it's as busy as it ever is, which is nice, actually. That's been, I mean, thank God we've got that, to be honest. It's been a nice distraction. But yeah, other than that, yeah, all good, really. We're all in good health. I will take that and run with it, honestly. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I have been enjoying the hell out of your content. You guys have been making, like, just knocking it out of the park. So I wanted to give you a big salute.
Well, that's very sweet of you. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm a sweet guy. So how are things going in the Plater household?
Same old, I guess, which is actually really positive for me. But
Beautiful.
I say that, but I had some. I think most people know that I have stage 4 cancer by now, and if you don't, well, now you do. And I have some other health concerns that popped up, and oh my goodness, it is not good. So I found out I've got gallstones and kidney stones at the same time. So
Oh, for goodness sake.
I am looking forward to that. So that's one of the reasons why I ended up in hospital those few times.
That's right. Yeah.
It's that time because Burr was sending me memes and keeping me highly entertained, which is thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
Calling you names as well, I believe. At some
Yeah,
point.
you did call me some names, but
Yeah.
like I said,
Just before my stream went live, I told everyone that you were from a swamp. I'm sorry about that.
what?
Oof.
Okay, I think so. YouTube just decided that since I lost connection, that the live streaming event that I already set up with all the settings and thumbnails, that is now a finished stream. Done deal. Gonna close that for you. Thank you very much.
So basically, everyone listening at home, if you were going to find out who would give you the absolute complete roundtable first, the winner is down to earth. His is already completing.
Complete.
He's moving on to the next video.
Astro's so efficient, he completed a 2-hour stream in 11 minutes. That's how you do it.
See that stream compression for you.
So you ready to take this back over, Astro?
Yes, I think I'm ready. It looks like I will. At least I'm getting confirmation from YouTube now. People saying in chat that we are live there, and I think Twitch is running too. So I think I think we're good now. Okay, so with that was a very professional start to a live stream, but let's try it from here then. Yes, so the plan today is we have a lot of lovely people, and we'll be introducing you guys. You can introduce yourself here in just a second. And since we have a small, just a tiny update coming up to leak here in not too distant future, and we're going to get access to the alpha, we figured we would get together and have a chat about it, share our thoughts, what we think, what are we looking forward to, and what's our plans when the alpha drops here in about 2 weeks now. So, with us today, we have Commander Plater.
Hello again to everyone else. Hi.
And from the Burpit, we have Commander Burr.
Hello, everyone.
And I can see Reenie's in chat, but not talking today. Yes, no?
She is, yeah. She's sat right next to me. She's handling chat for me, and yeah.
Okay, great. And we have Elite Week here today with Kai Sen and Tweaked.
Hello, hello, beautiful people. Say hi, Tweaked.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Great. And we have with JN Tracks from Loose Group.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome. And then, of course, I'm here as well. Down to Earth Astronomy. So, let's dive into it, and let's get started with with one of the first topics I think could be fun to talk about. I love game mechanics personally, so I thought it'd be fun to dive into the small amount of information we got regarding shield mechanics. We saw, of course, in the gameplay trailer. We're not going to go into too much detail with it. I mean, we've all covered this extensively, and I think between us we probably have, I don't know, 10, 20, 50 times the length of the video and content. So it's been very well covered. But I still think it'd be fun to go in and talk about some of the shield mechanics that we saw in the game, and what's your thoughts on it. And I'll start with some of the things that I noticed. First of all, I of course noticed that they didn't keep shields online at all times in the same manner as you do with ships. It seems to be a thing you're toggling a little bit like you would toggle silent running or toggle FA off. That is something that you put up when needed, and then take down when you don't need it again. I also noticed that the recharge time for the shields seems to be very much quicker than what we have on ships, looking like a full recharge in a few seconds when you're out of combat. Is that the same thing you guys saw, or did I miss anything that you found?
Yeah, I think we saw that as well. Actually, yeah. I'm interested to know how the flicking your shield on and off works, and how easily accessible on the keyboard. I suppose that's going to be. I guess it depends where you set it, but yeah, it wasn't a concern as such, but it was sort of like, oh right, okay, I'm going to be doing that. The only thing I was going to say, completely unrelated to what you just said, but the only thing I was going to say about the shield mechanic was I really wasn't crazy about the blue effect. It wasn't very. I'd kind of expected it to be a bit more subtle, but I guess there's still time for that to get tweaked. No offense,
Maybe
tweaked.
it's a stealth thing.
I'd take it.
I think
the shield is going to be great, actually. I think that's going to play into a lot of strategy with how we handle our shields and the length of the missions and everything, toggling them on and off as we do, like you said, stealth mode, FA on and off, things like that. So I think that's going to add a different aspect to gameplay.
I very much like the concept of shield toggle on and off, and using that as sort of a resource management sort of aspect of the game for combat of your battery. I was trying to, and it was just impossibly hard to tell with the Michael Bay edit version of that footage they put out, where it was just like smash cut, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. But what I was trying to do, and what I'm very excited to see on March 29th is, look, what are the battery rates for that? Like when you toggle your shield on and off, is there like an immediate sort of 1% hit on engage, or when, as Astro pointed out, they seem to recharge your shields quickly? Like, what is the currency of exchange for battery life to shield replenishment? Because like if you noticed in the little super secret squirrel ninja video they released where they got to the place, the character that was being played by Zach, when he used the door overload machine, that used up like 48% of his total battery life. Like that used up a massive amount of battery. So if you go back and look at it, he literally jumped from being in the like 80 to 90% range to being in the like 40% range. So I'm very interested to see like what is the interplay between the amount of battery per like reload of your shields and whatnot.
Also, sorry, I was just going to say something we need to remember as well is that what we saw footage-wise was from separate takes as well. That's a real big thing to remember. Is I think I know I had quite a few comments mentioning that why are things so jumpy around, or I can't believe they had to change the angle or do this, or use multiple takes in order to get a coherent video. It's like that is how making a video works.
I can. Sorry, mate. Go on.
I was going to say, Marvel movies continuity is all over the place. Just remember that. And that's a billion, multi-billion dollar company. They still get things wrong. It's we need to always keep that in mind.
All I was going to say was it might be a little known fact, but Rini and I actually made a first-person shooter and got it onto Steam and got it through the Steam process a few years back. It's what we did before we did this, and it was the first thing. It was really funny watching that gameplay video. The first thing, both of us kind of looked at each other and went, "Oh, okay, they've done what we used to do." So when we were making promotional videos or trying to show off how gameplay was going to work, there would be lots of edits all over the place. It would look like it was a seamless scene, but in actual fact it wasn't. And also the other thing we used to do, because it's completely impractical otherwise, is turn the AI down so that it's dumb as a fence post, because you just can't get anything done. Like in some of the shots we did, it looked like we were under intense fire, but in actual fact, if you run up to the AI, literally they couldn't hit a barn door. They'd literally be shooting all around you, and it was literally the only way you could get through it, because otherwise you'd end up
but just,
full of holes.
Just to clarify to my point, there was no edit involved in the second of footage where you show the guy using the overload mechanic and his battery goes down to by 40 some odd %. Like that was.
No, you absolutely saw that.
Legit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm guessing that ties into the jetpack as well. I'm guessing you've got like a pool of power that powers your jetpack, and that looked like an electric car charger, by the way, that thing he was using.
That was called the electric link.
Is that what it's called?
Yep. Energy link was
okay, energy link. I'll cross out electric thingy then.
In fairness to Frontier, for those people that might have heard me say, it went down by 40% with one overload. In fairness to Frontier, if you're saying, well, that's dumb, that's what when he first pulled the weapon, a second before he used it, it was in siphon mode, which I think is very clearly indicative of, yes, there's ways you can expend massive amounts of your battery to do a thing, but there's also a mechanism where you can replenish that currency. So that's what we figured, that is still to be shown. So don't hop to the conclusion that because it costs half your battery to open a door that this is stupid and broken. It just means that you're going to have to figure out ways to expend energy and then replenish energy. All in, it's a loop.
So
it's good that it has a cost, right?
Absolutely.
There's a cost to taking that course of action. Yeah.
But the point that I was drawing was when Astro was saying, "Oh, it looks like your shields recharge quick." Yes, it's so in everything, like in gameplay with the ship, when your shields recharge, the currency that you're expending is time. It costs you time, and you're taking hits, and that's a danger. In this, it's not. The currency clearly isn't time. The currency is battery life, and that's the thing that I'm very interested to see how it plays out when we get a hold of it on March 29th.
Yeah.
I've been thinking because when you then deplete energy, do you then deplete energy only when the shield is recharging, much in the same way as shields works on ships, where if the shield is at full strength, it's just like a pull that's charged up and ready, and only when you do the recharge, then it drains your battery? Or is it a constant drain when the shield is active?
I think it's probably every moment that you have the shield on, it's costing you some of
so.
that energy currency.
That's what I imagine.
Maybe some extra doing a recharge or something like that.
Otherwise, there would be, because Frontier has told us explicitly that you don't want to have your shields on all the time. That's a waste of your resources. If it was the case that when you're at full charge shield, you expend no energy, then there would be no purpose to not have full charge at all times.
Besides the stealth implications.
Yeah, you would imagine
Because you glow.
Yeah, if you run with shields, it would be easier to detect, since you have a huge kind of EM field around you.
Assuming that blue glow we saw around all the NPCs and everything, and I assume is going to be around us, is not, assuming that it's there when the alpha drops. Hopefully, I'm personally hoping they dial that down. I agree with you, Burr. That blue was just...
Yeah. You just look like a big Smurf, didn't you?
Yeah, right. It looked like Smurfs running around. It didn't. It took away from the immersion. It didn't look real.
With the shields, wasn't it only whilst they were being fired upon that they were there?
Nope.
Is that?
I
think
did
they
I
kicked them
imagine
on
that?
once
Because
the
everyone was
alarm
being
went live.
fired at all the time. So
It was clearly when the shield was on, because you see at one point, so Zach's character that was wearing the engineering suit that went inside and took out the core was wearing the shield for much less of the time than Bruce's character.
Right.
But it would make sense that maybe the combat suit uses less energy to keep the shield up, but does have the capabilities to maybe do the hacking thing or the whatever.
it has a
Right,
stronger
right,
shield
okay.
overall
Yeah.
for the energy.
Well,
Or
it would
something.
make sense that a combat suit was designed to keep the shields online for longer.
Yeah,
Do you
but
think
just for
So I was going to say do you think they've transposed over the sort of energy management side from the ship gameplay as well, so that you can shunt power around depending on where you want it to go, or do we not think there's not enough?
Ship management?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't
know. I think it's going to be resources.
Yep. I don't think it's pip management. I think they've replaced the loop of pip management with the mechanic of, shields on, shields off, jump pack used, jump pack not used.
Okay. Yeah.
Power budget.
It'd be too much I suppose first-person combat's too frenetic normally, isn't it? So it'd be too much to manage, I guess.
The other thing is that with even as edited as it was, the gameplay footage that they showed us, we at no time saw in the bottom left-hand corner or anywhere else on the screen any sort of pip management, any movement of anything.
Very true.
No.
Yeah.
What's your guys' thoughts on, how does the transition go from no shield to shield? Like, from when I say I want shield and I then press a button somewhere that says shields on, do you think it's just going to be shields on like that at full strength, or are they going to come on then begin a recharge? I'm just thinking if it would be like you can toggle your shields on, they would just be on during the fight, or if you really want a micromanagement, you could see and say, oh, now somebody's shooting at me, I'm going to be really quick and I'm going to press the button, and then it just pops up, blocks, and then it'll take it down again. It's a more risky tactic, but that transition...
I believe
I would imagine...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I would just say, I would imagine it would be like it would occupy some of your power budget or something to that effect, right? Like you're carrying a battery with you, you have like 100% power, and your shield, when you turn it on, is going to consume a certain amount per second. But then there has to be some kind of damage mechanic, right? Or you're not invincible. So I feel like it's one of two ways. Like either the shield consumes 30% of your total power when you turn it on, and then depletes over time until it's to nothing, and there's no recharge. But you guys said you saw a quick recharge, so maybe you can turn that aspect on and off or something. But boy, that becomes tough. So, like, how much do I use power when I get shot more than when I just have it on normally? I would have to, right? Or there'd be no. Yeah, exactly. So
I believe I believe that the way it is this: when you turn on the shields are instantly on at full power, but full power is defined as whatever the rate it was at the last time you had it on. So it's not like you can game the system by toggling on and off to keep recharging your shields to 100%. I believe any minute or second or however they measure it out that you have shields on is going to cost you X amount of battery drain on your pack. If you have the shield on at 100% and you take a hit and you turn the shield off, that time frame where you have the shield turned off, you get no recharge benefits. If you have the shield stay on and you take a hit, let's say your shields drop, you take a massive hit and your shields drop from 90% to 80%. You lose 20% shields in one hit. Over the next 3 to 5 seconds, you're going to recharge that shield rate from 80% to 100%, but it's going to cost you X augmented battery charge rate.
That is not correct. Because I'm watching the video now. Because I was wondering this one, and you're watching Bruce Techfire. His percentage is slowly dropping from, and this is in time with him not being shot as well, and regardless of recharge. So even when he's being shot, it's slowly ticking down. Then when he gets shot, it continues to drop at the same rate. Then he stops being shot, you watch his shields actually charge up, but the battery rate drop doesn't increase either. It continues at the same rate it was previously going.
I would submit to you that there were so many edits with regard to that you don't know what you're seeing. When you
I
see
know
Bruce
what I'm
getting
seeing,
shot.
thank you very much.
Or maybe what they've done is, if you're not taking fire, it acts like a. I mean, in your ship, the smaller megajoule shield you have, the quicker it recharges. So you would assume, if it goes by that your suit shields would recharge pretty quickly. So maybe they're going to go that route where it does recharge if you're not taking any fire.
If you're asserting that you can sit there and take fire and it has no additional cost on your recharge rate or your battery rate, I would submit that is a very bad game mechanic. I don't think they would do that.
I mean, I'm going on what we have seen. I'm stating what we have seen in the video, whilst you are speculating. There is a distinct difference what's happening. I'm saying what is happening as visible in the trailer and what actually happens in the trailer. And you can see the rates.
And you're the person that 3 minutes ago said we need to keep in mind that this was so heavily edited that it's hard to make distinctions on stuff.
Yeah, I did. But also this bit doesn't have any cuts in. That one bit
between jump cuts we can still use as one continuous.
There are certain bits that have no edits in.
Yep.
And that's
I would
the
also
bit I'm
add that
missing.
almost any other space game I've ever played, if you're not taking fire, your shields start to regenerate. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go that route.
I'm
It'll
very
still
surprised
take
if
your
that wasn't the
battery
case,
power.
honestly. But yeah.
And
Right, it'll
That's what I
still
was
take
stating.
battery power, but it'll heal.
That's what I was stating. I was stating that if you take fire, your shields will recharge. It will probably cost you something out of your energy budget.
Hi, did you mean so if my shield's at 50% when I turn it off, when I turn it back on, it will still be at 50%? Is that what you meant?
It seems logical. Otherwise, people would game the system by like turning it off, turning it right back on to jump from 50 to 100. Like I think it needs to be on in order to recharge. That just makes logical sense to me. I could be wrong.
It could have a background time delay too, and be sort of a mix of those two. But yeah, I agree that it wouldn't be free to recharge just by turning it off. At least without there being, again, a time delay, like a reboot repair.
Or some battery penalty. Like there has to be some trade-off. Otherwise, people would literally just flick shields on off to game the system, and that would be really dumb. And I don't see Frontier allowing that. I think they're smarter than to allow for that.
But they could just add like an initial energy cost that's larger, so that you have a spike at the beginning when you turn the shields on just to get them online, and then once they're online, they have a slower continuous drain on the energy. That makes sense.
Turning them on would be like consuming ammo, sort of?
No, not necessarily consuming ammo, but let's say, whoops, I crashed into my carrier. If let's say they take like 5%, let's say they drain, 1% a second, and the moment you turn them on, they just instantly drain 5%. So if you're sitting there flicking them on and off, you're going to run out of energy real soon.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that turning your car on and off will consume more energy than just sitting there idling without moving. Like, yeah, that makes complete sense. That's what I was saying.
That would be fair.
Cool. So one thing in the gameplay video is we saw them during the combat scenes that they would often shoot the NPCs until the shields went down, and then they would stop firing. And I think Plater, you spotted at least once where one of the NPCs were actually shot and killed. But most of the time we just saw them take down shields, and then the NPCs would kind of run for cover-ish. But not
Would
quite.
they get additional bounties for finishing the kill?
That could be it. Yeah, I would assume so.
I was saying, to be honest, I'd not noticed what you said there, but the thing that immediately occurs to me was the one time you did see someone shot was that guy at the top of the stairs, I think. Or
No,
was it
there was another one.
Yeah, that
right,
was.
okay, and the rag doll or the way the body fell looked a bit janky. Yeah. I wondered if they were sort of deliberately avoiding showing that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be that the ragdoll mechanics for when the NPC dies is not fully in place yet. And to be honest, I wouldn't necessarily expect that part of the mechanic to be ready, maybe even for an alpha. I mean,
yeah,
I can live with in an alpha test that when you kill an NPC, if he either just freezes in place or something. I mean, obviously for the finished game, we're gonna expect something different, but for an alpha test, if either if they have ragdoll mechanics and they're just a little like twitchy, then that's fine with me. I can extrapolate myself and guess that there's probably gonna be different for the launch.
It's a difficult situation for them, isn't it? Because one of the last things that a game developer will do before the game gets released is obviously clean everything up and tweak it and make it all look ideally absolutely perfect. But it is literally one of the last things they do, and by the same token, they've got everybody on this side of the fence going, show us more, show us more, show us more, show us more, show us more.
Yeah,
and so they're in a difficult situation where they've got to go, okay, you asked for it, and then we're all going, what the hell is that? So, yeah, if it gets finished on a Tuesday, they're not really going to be happy showing it 100% happy showing it until Wednesday, I guess. But it's a difficult situation.
So also there's the way it was described is that the alpha would come in sort of stages of feature deployment. So like at first it would only contain certain aspects for the purpose of playtesting those, and then move on to adding another layer or something, right? So I had thought of ragdoll being one of the things removed. I was sort of imagining like, one or two styles of mission appears first, and then they deploy some other ones, and then they deploy some of the exploration stuff or something to that effect.
And that makes perfect sense to do it like that, because from Chill's point of view, they want to have people. I mean, the alpha is first and foremost a test, right? So they want to make sure people are testing something, and then once they got the feedback they got for that feature, then they can add something new, and then people will most likely move over and say, oh, there's something new, I've got to go and play with that. And then they get a lot of feedback from how that new thing is working. So instead of just dumping
their numbers.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm massively in the minority, but I gotta say I don't care about the ragdoll whatever. Like I very much care about the mechanics of how they work stuff. I very much care about getting game loops right. I very much care about a lot of things. But if they come to full release and what we see is movement is good, cover is good, AI is good, taking cover fire and how they use troop tactics and whatnot is good, but when you shoot a guy, they ragdoll, they fall to the floor in a weird jumble. I wouldn't really care. I'd be like, okay, that doesn't bother me. I kind of disagree. I think it would kind of bother me if when the full release came out it was that way, just for the simple fact that there's so many other developers that make first-person shooters and third-person shooters where that doesn't happen. I think FDev can get it right. I think they can do that. They should be able to do that.
But the gravity variance.
I mean,
that's not really an excuse. I agree with you.
That's going to be really funny, actually. I wonder if you're like, I was just thinking off the back of that, whether if they've got complete ragdoll in there that's completely affected by physics, and you kill someone with a grenade, is their body going to? Everybody goes, well, there
body
goes
to carrier.
Science required.
You're sitting there, your fleet carrier, just minding your own business, and a corpse floats by.
Yeah. I'd pay for that, honestly.
No,
yeah, that'd be spectacular.
I think most people are like, I will agree that like for the alpha, yeah, sure, if the ragdoll mechanic is not there, if it's a jumbled mess, or if they just do nothing at all, sure, that's fine with me. Again, I'm much more interested in all the other game mechanics than whether a guy looks pretty when he dies. I mean, I don't need him to go and and lie down screaming pain if I shoot him in the kneecap. But
No.
I think if you shoot him in the kneecap, he becomes a guard at Skyrim.
gets teleported to Skyrim.
I think there's like two sides of it, right? Because fully, I think the game mechanics, like working in general, is much more important than the ragdoll. At the same time, if the game mechanics worked and I sat down to play the game and then the ragdoll went totally bonkers and looked stupid, I'd be like, what the heck is this? You know, it would really set me off. I guess I'm not going to approach it with that mindset, of course, because I'm actually going to be examining the game mechanics rather than thinking of it as a full game. But it does seem like something that, I don't know, I don't know anything about building a game, but I figured Ragdoll was like, that's something we figured out back when Half-Life 2 was new. So isn't that just like a piece of code you can insert into your game? I guess probably not, but I expected that maybe the gravity was the real issue.
Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. I think Burr is the most qualified here to answer that.
Our shooter was on Earth, so I don't...
Okay. So
Right,
I guess
that's Burr out. Well, Matt, you played your expert card, Burr. Now that's it. It's done.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done now. I'm not any more opinions.
It's that you played it too early.
Also, not for nothing, but for real, when you shoot people, they fall in weird ways sometimes.
Sure.
Would expect so.
Especially if they're in a movie where a gun blast will actually move a body back several feet.
No, I mean for real. When you shoot people, they fall in weird ways sometimes. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff just stopped working suddenly, doesn't it? So yeah, they're not exactly going to worry about where their elbows go.
Gotta look cool while I fall.
Should we move on and talk about missions and mission types? Because so far, of course, what we've seen is one type of mission on one type of settlement that is in one specific state. We already know there's going to be, I can't remember, is it 10, 11, 12 different states that stations can be in, just like systems have different states, like boom or like famine or whatever. And obviously there are different types of missions as well, and the settlements also come with different variants. So what I think could be interesting was to see what type of mission you guys would like to see, other than like the also different types of like run in and shoot people in the face kind of missions. But if we focus on both combat and everything else, what kind of missions would you guys like to see?
I was really interested in some of the sort of the more stealthy approaches, I suppose. I'm quite interested to see. Yeah. I don't particularly play in single player when I do play, but I am quite curious to see what you can do by going in, doing a thing, not shutting the entire base down. You know, stealing something off of someone's desk and then getting out again without anybody ever knowing you were there. I say that though I'm fully aware that I will be absolutely rubbish at that sort of thing, but. I am quite curious to see that and see how they mould that into a completely dynamic environment, because I would guess that stuff's quite hard.
And what about stealth in open play against other players? I mean, I can have as much stealth on my stealth stats on my equipment, and I have really spec for stealth. But if I'm crouching and somebody can, are they going to make us transparent, or are they going to make us more difficult to see on like the radar? How is stealth in the PvP aspect of Odyssey going to work?
Yeah, and I suppose if you see someone visually as well, is that gonna update the radar because you've got that intel, if you know what I mean? All the time, exactly. You can see them. Are they on your radar? And also, I'm curious to know if in your wing that information is then passed to the rest of your wing. So if I'm round the corner and I see someone, not that me and Plater would ever play together, but if Plater was in the wing with me, would he then see on his radar what I can see round the corner, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Well, I have an opinion on this of what I think it might be, and this is speculation, is that I imagine it would be very much the heat wave that we have in space with the stealth mechanic, you know, where you pop a heat sink and you disappear. And you're visible, you've still got targeting solution.
You can't see people, basically.
Yeah, because it seems to be like, I mean, you could argue there's lots of different ways of registering whether someone is in a location, and different ways of sensing it. Ensure space, you're limited pretty much to your infrared spectrum if it's not visual. that, or electromagnetic and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, I imagine you can just see them, and if you can see them, you can shoot them. The same with in real life. If someone's creeping up on you, you turn around and you see them, despite how quiet they are, or despite what the weather's like. It's like you turn around and go, oh look, there they are. I can see you.
Yeah.
So you can pop one of them. It shouldn't be too much of an issue, I don't think. That's what I think it'll be like, just a temperature-wise thing.
Probably right, actually. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Well, it's not sound, right?
I would guess as far as being in a wing, it'll probably work similar to it does in the ships. If I'm in a full wing and I scan a pirate instance, my wingmates don't see that pirate instance until they get close enough to it, if they're following my nav beacon or my wingman lock or whatever. They don't see it if they're way away from it. So I would imagine it's going to be similar on the ground. They've said they tried to transpose most of the things in space down to on the foot, so that kind of stuff I think is going to play that way.
So to your original question, Down to Earth, you said, what mission types do we want to see? I want to see two very distinct, very, very separate opposite ends of the spectrum type missions. The first is, let's be honest, the vast majority of hours played in this game are people that are playing either in solo mode or playing in open or whatever, but they are playing by themselves. So I very much want to see some mission aspect gameplay of doing the part where you sneak in, you stealth people, you use scanners, you go into the command building as they stated that you can do, and you turn off the alarm so that even after you take the power thing off or take the whatever off, you don't have the alarm. So it's stealth in, stealth out, because I think that the vast majority of mission play that will actually happen by players in Elite Dangerous Odyssey will be some form of, I can only engage in 2 or 3 guys in combat because I'm going to be by myself, and I need to have a feasible infill, execute the mission, exfil plan that doesn't involve me dealing with 18 different guys, because we're not Frontier. We can't run through a 12-man kill funnel and edit it 8 times so that we come out okay. We're going to have to actually have an exfil plan that works. So that
exfil, that would be get out of the area again without
means exfiltration.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So
prevent detection to begin with. Yeah, that sounds like more fun to me too. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be necessary for people for a lot, because again, let's be honest, how much percentage do we think Elite Dangerous players play in 3-man groups doing stuff versus how many really raw hours are people going into do when you're doing missions? How often are you doing it in a wing as opposed to how often are you? And keep in mind, we're all streamers with our own sort of groups that it's easier for us to fill in than it is for some dude who's coming home and has an hour and a half to play because his wife told him dinner's ready at whatever and I need you for blah blah. That guy's gonna load in, get a mission, and most of those guys play by themselves for the most part. So we're gonna need to see that. The other thing that I really want to see mission wise is I want to see the other end of the spectrum where you come in heavy with the group, and it's not we're landing at a base where we're already friendly, so technically we're allowed to walk all the way up to the door, and until we cross that little police tape line of do not enter, there's nobody in any way that's fighting us. I want to see they're selling this as our FPS is different because we have ships engaging in combat with SRVs, engaging in combat with people, and this huge orgiastic melee of different inter-unit types, and there's ground defenses, and there all of these things that they have told us so much about that sound exciting. We have seen 0 seconds of it in action. So I want to see, what does it look like when you assault a base where your ship is shooting at people and you're doing a hot drop and there are SRVs shooting back and there are air defenses and you have to I want to see that side too.
So you want to see somewhere where they drop off an SRV 5 kilometers outside the base, and it drives in, and or somebody sneaks in the base, they take down the defenses or something, disable it somehow, and then once they disable, they call in the dropship that comes in and it drops off 3 of their friends that just goes in all guns blazing and kicks in the front door.
I mean, let's be clear. Frontier said very clearly, that is our vision, sphere of combat. That is what separates us from other FPS. That with Call of Duty or this, that, and the other, they might have more advanced this or more advanced that because they're a game that's dedicated to just that, and that's completely fair. But Frontier said, what we bring to the table, how we differentiate ourselves from other FPS is the highly interconnected, different unit type combats that will all be playing out in what they deemed, quote, the sphere of combat. I would like to see that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I wrote down a number of different type of missions that just popped into my head when I was writing the show notes. Like stuff like sneak into the base and not necessarily like blow everything up, but just sneak in, steal a thing, and then sneak out again with thing, and then go back to base, hand in thing, get money, kind of thing. And of course also it's assassination missions, so go in, kill one target, get out. If you do it without getting spotted, perfect. Maybe even have like tiers of like completion goals. So like, yeah, you could go in gun placing, but if you do it without getting spotted, then you get a bonus or something like that. But also non-combat missions, I think, could be really fun. See stuff like go into a disabled base and it's like, hey, we have this power core. Can you go to that base and install the power core? And then I don't know. There could be some kind of mini game around that, like how do you get the power core online and get it installed properly without the whole thing blowing up in your face, stuff like that.
I think that is on their list, right? That would be the restore power type mission,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
hazards are whatever opposing force, scavers or something.
Not just that, they said in the thing where they were talking about it briefly, they said it might be that when you restore power, because systems have failed or whatever, like 3 or 4 fires pop up around the base and you have to deal with that somehow. So like that's cool.
Yeah. This might be a subtle
go ahead.
This might be a subtle distinction, but a combat type mission where someone else has assaulted the base and we're actually like coming in as reinforcements could be fun. You'd be in the thick of it already, and it would be like, you know, drop in and try to assist the base in repelling pirates or something. That's probably very similar to some to the assault missions, or
you arrive before the assault. Like, hey, we know these guys are about to assault this base. We got some intel somewhere. Like, go in, get ready, get yourself in a good position, and then just NPCs come driving up, and it's your job to keep them out of the base.
A survival game.
Basically, it's going to be tower defense.
I very much want to see that. And I want to see that for a couple of reasons. One, I think it'll be a lot of fun, but two, and this goes into that blue shield on all the NPCs, are the bad guys going to look different? If we see raiders, are they going to look different than guards and stuff like that? I'm curious
They
as
should
to that.
They should do that. They've mentioned it's BGS reliant, so you'd imagine
the
if
uniforms should be different, but can you see the uniforms through the blue shields? I couldn't on that video, that's for sure.
Very true, actually. Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for people with spiky shoulder pads.
Not combat related. I'm wondering if we're not going to get like the equivalent of passenger missions. If I go to a planetary port and go to the passenger lounge, is somebody going to want me to take them in an SRV to a point of interest on the planet somewhere as a way to get to explore?
Are you looking to walk around the lounge, just sort of touting for business? Is that like what you want? Anybody want to go to Sirius?
Well, not so much flying to somewhere else, but I'm wondering if it would be a way for Frontier to get us to explore these new planets, the new planet tech, if there's points of interest on the ground somewhere.
For sure.
He's not talking about a ride to Sirius. He's standing outside the base going, "Hack cab, get your hack cab here. Free ride."
You can now be a space bus driver.
Yeah. So you're looking for passage to Alderaan.
Yeah.
So, the point that you made, Trax, is an interesting one. I forget what it might have been. Dark Age of Camelot, of WoW, or something. There was a game, I forget which one it was, but there was a game mode where basically what it would allow is you go in and like raid a dungeon, and as you're raiding the dungeon, as you're fighting it or whatever, it would keep the door locked for like the first like 5 minutes out of like an hour long, first 5 to 10 minutes out of an hour long dungeon. After that, at some point, it would open up the door behind you, and a different group of the opponent faction could come in. And then it was this weird race where you had to either A, charge forward and try to kill the mob so that you could complete the base and exit before you were caught up to, or B, sort of turn around and face the PvP threat of the alternate team. And like they were allowed to bring in less people. There was weird mechanics that balanced it out. So I find what you're talking about really intriguing. Of how cool would it be if there was a 4-man mission, a wing mission to go assault the base. But then after you started it, it would give out like a 1-man mission to defend the base, with the idea that you might just be 1 man, but you're augmenting the PvE, the NPC army, so that it makes for weird, neat mixing of PvP and PvE play. That might be crazy, overly ambitious and a pipe dream, but it could be cool. And when you mentioned that, I thought, oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. In a sense, it's not that much different from a conflict zone that we have now, where there's, you can PvP in them, but by default, you're augmenting an NPC reaction scenario. So if we just add players to a scenario that would essentially play out on its own, then we're kind of doing that. I mean, without some of the detail, I guess.
I think FDev have said that's going to be a possibility through Frontline Solutions. They said that would be something that you could then go take part in.
Okay.
Said that's
Right.
what that will offer.
I would love.
Frontline
I would
Solutions being
love-
the in-game taxi service, right?
No,
The CQC on ground CQC.
Oh, the CQC
Yeah,
ground.
the taxi service is
Apex.
what was it
Interstellar
called?
something.
Apex
Right.
Interstellar.
Apex Interstellar.
Interstellar, thank you.
I think they haven't explicitly stated it, but the devs did explicitly state that there is CQC on foot, Art, early on, and they did state that just recently, Frontline Solutions will be a way that you can engage in massive battles. I suspect, even though it has not been explicitly stated, that is exactly what Frontline is. Frontline is CQC on foot, and the idea is they're going to try to funnel sort of larger numbers of people into PvP engagements.
No, actually, again, they haven't confirmed either way. I was really curious to hear about Frontline, because my assumption, actually, it's interesting to hear you say that. I'd not considered that. My assumption with Frontline was that it was going to be a way for on-foot only players, or anybody who wants to use it, but on-foot only players, to get into the ground version of a combat zone.
Here's
not CQC.
Here is the reason why I don't suspect that. If you go back and rewatch Dev Diary 2, when they were actually talking about Frontline Solutions, the one intriguing thing that kind of leads me to believe that is not correct that was said was, I think it was Gareth said that, or it might have been Pierce, but one of the devs said it's a way to engage in PvP that is not tied to the BGS, that it's separate from BGS. So that's why I immediately thought that's got to be CQC.
Right. Okay.
That's what I heard as well.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
One other type of mission that I wished, I have not heard anything from Frontier about them doing this, but I wish they would. We've heard the PvP community forever in the current game begging for what they consider meaningful PvP, and I feel that's going to be the same on the ground. I wish they would make it so if there's a notorious player that's building up a huge bounty on his head, that they would generate missions to the rest of us to go hunt him down.
Oh god.
Wouldn't that be
Crime and
nice?
Punishment is the Vietnam of Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
Quagmire will never release any meaningful games.
Some talk in the chat about trade missions has me thinking I don't see how it would work, because we move large amounts of things with spaceships. Adding an on-foot component would just make it a little more tedious, right? Or am I missing something? What do you guys think?
It could just be, I mean, I'm gonna pull a reference here to Star Citizen, because they have what's called box missions in there.
Yep.
Where you go to surface base. Surface base has a number of boxes. You pick up the box, you carry the box into your ship, and then you fly it to another station, and you hand in the box at a terminal box collecting vending machine kind of thing, right?
So this is like a courier mission with the added thing of some of it you have to get out of the ship and
you have
actually
to pick
find
up
the box.
thing, find the box yourself.
That is definitely one way to do it. Here's another way, Trax. Let's say you take a on-foot settlement mission, an Odyssey trade mission, and in this form of it, what it does is they generate a POI that is 1 mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, whatever out, and you have to go and pick up this, as sort of similar to what Astro was just saying, a box mission. You have to drive 2 miles away and pick up this 2 tons of, if they're not going to introduce new SRVs and there is only 2 tons of cargo storage, you have to pick up this 2 tons of very rare something that was generated from a mining machine or generated from a data location or whatever. You have to pick up these 2 tons of cargo in your SRV and bring it back. And the cargo itself is altitude sensitive. If you go over sort of 50 feet, it will destroy the cargo. So you have to do it in an SRV.
It's like the movie Speed. There's like a little bit of
Yeah.
you can't go faster than 50 miles an hour.
In fairness, both Astro and I are drawing references from Star Citizen. In Star Citizen, there are what you call sensitive cargo missions, so that you can pick up some things where, like Quantanium, if you mine Quantanium, you only have 14 minutes to bring it back before it explodes. Or with
brilliant name.
With the Xeno mission that they just did, there were some things that you had to bring it back within a time limit. There were other boxes where if you went into Quantum, which is basically the Star Citizen version of Super Cruise, it would like destroy. It would explode. There were other ones where you couldn't take damage or it would explode, so you had to like land really gently and not engage in combat. So like you could put in some form of mission-sensitive cargo that requires
fragile cargo. You need to be very careful of landing or something like that.
I love all that for elite ranked trade missions, something besides pirates coming to get you, even for spaceships too. I mean, any of that would be great. I love that.
I mean, let's be honest. How few people in the game actually put in meaningful time behind the wheel of an SRV, like meaningful time. If they put in missions suddenly where you had people, like all of us, the 80% of us were out there running missions where every once in a while we had to spend 20 minutes doing a 5-mile drive in an SRV. I think you would see a lot of neat sort of proficiency and things develop on the SRV gameplay line.
Yeah, I've not gotten into the SRV.
Yeah, I'd never get my SRV. Not for nothing. Ground cargo missions would be great inspiration for FDev to create new SRVs, one would think, but we've heard nothing about that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was that one picture where it looked like a normal SRV, but they basically took the whole like rear compartment, the big box at the back, took that off and replaced it with an oversized turret. Looked like
We should
feel like that
say
looked
though,
like
that
art.
was concept art. That was very definitely concept art for the
it
splash
was concept
page
art, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was not the current SRV that they were trying to draw. Otherwise, they missed the thing.
Yeah.
I just look at like this last week, Star Citizen released like a 2-minute long little promo video for their new ground vehicle that's like it's like a tumbler but with like missiles and guns and stuff on it. And there was a whole chase scene where like 2 guys on speeder bikes are chasing this thing. There's the guy in the back turret firing the machine gun off, and then it does a jump off of a cliff and lands on the ramp of a Mercury Star Runner. And I just saw that and I was like, I would like other SRVs in Elite, please.
Yeah, anything.
I haven't driven my SRV since I figured out that you could do scan missions from the ship. It was like, oh, well, shoot. I've hardly driven the thing. Now I just Crystal Forest and nothing else.
Yeah,
the only time I get in it is when I need mats.
Yep.
That's so bronze. Yeah.
We've actually got people in our Discord who farm crystal forests without getting out of their ship.
Yep, you can do it with small ships. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do it with a Sidewinder. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Sidewinder's actually good at it.
But I would also like to see stuff like non-combat combat missions, like a salvage mission. Like, oh, we had a ship, it crashed on this planet. Can you go and find this wreck and like pull a box from that will obviously not be inside the ship, so there's no interiors, but it will be in the vicinity around the ship, and you have to maybe go and do some scans or something to actually locate the exact crash site of the ship. And then pick up the box and bring it back. Something like that I think could be fun. Or you could go around this. We saw the little, what was the name of it? The cutting tool. Like go around the shipwreck and begin to cut panels open to find access panels so you can actually go and get access to whatever cargo it is that you're looking for.
They described the mission like that scavenging mission in one of the dev diaries or one of the interviews with the developer. I can't remember where it was, but they did describe going to a mission giver in a station, and you would get scavenger type missions where you have to go down and get a certain power supply out of this broken down ship or something.
That was Dev Diary 2 when they talked about it, and they said that you could even use Apex to get there.
You know the disabled bases that they've talked about, where you have to go and plug in the power regulator to bring the thing back online again. I've been wondering if there's a mission associated with those bases where you're not bringing it back online, but you are going back into one of those bases that's abandoned and no longer working to retrieve something else and come out. And while you're in there, that could be really creepy. Actually, that could be really unsettling.
And bam, Thargoid first-person gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suddenly you're in there, and before you know it, you've got a full-on alien situation on your hand.
Oh God, don't.
That's what I want. We talk about missions that we want. I want on for Thargoid combat. Desperate for it.
I definitely think that's going to happen. I will soil my spacesuit as well.
And this is why we don't play together.
Yeah, I got a small hint of it in the gameplay video right when they pulled the power core, whatever it was they were pulling out. When the whole room went dark and they turned on their flashlights, it was only like 1-2 seconds in the video, but it actually looked. I mean, if you're running around a larger building that's not just a single room, then I can see that being creepy. I can see you getting lost. Hopefully, I would love to get lost. That would be
Day
fun.
one of Alpha. Day one of Alpha. I'm scanning around the galaxy for a Weyland Yutani base. No reason.
I'm just thinking day one of Alpha. Has anybody seen Astro?
No, but if we know oxygen is going to be a limited resource in your suits, and if you have bases that's so big and you get lost and you're like, I need to get out of this.
Oh God, don't. Yeah.
You have the not just that you don't. I mean, if you had given enough time, you would find your way out eventually. But you have that little oxygen timer, oxygen meter that just ticks down.
Yeah.
And just that stress factor of I need to get out because I'm gonna suffocate in here.
Just to clarify, the oxygen timer doesn't tick down. The oxygen timer stays at full so long as you have battery. They made it clear that once you eliminate, because your battery runs these scrubbers, which keeps your air going. After you run out of battery power, that's when you have your limited time of oxygen. Just the same way as if you're in an SRV, you've got oxygen all day unless you run out of gas. And the second your gas runs out, now your oxygen's on a timer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the buildings I would contend have oxygen in them too, as they took their helmets down.
They're definitely going to have. Number one, yes, if you're inside a place that has that video showed, Burr's video breakdown of the footage that they showed did a very good job of calling out. There was the life support panel that was there, and there was an option to vent the Atmo inside the building, vent O2 in the building. So you're gonna have that, and I also highly suspect that in the buildings at various places in a base, you're going to have sort of plug-in things where you can recharge your battery, depending on the base type and what the situation is.
So you're just running around, you're maintaining the base's reactor, and then all of a sudden somebody goes up and like, vent.
Imagine if you have these two cross-purposes missions. So you have Burr has a mission to sneak into base X and pull out the data files out of the command building, and he walks right in because the power's down, and he's like, "Oh-de-do-de-do, just gonna come over here and hack this terminal and steal my stuff and get out easy peasy." Unbeknownst to him, at the same time, Plater and Down to Earth have a mission to restore the base power, and then right as Burr is like elbow deep into the machinery, laying there underneath the panel or whatever, trying to access it, the lights in the security system comes on, and now Burr's screwed.
Why does Plater get down to Earth? Why am I on my own and Plater's got down to Earth?
Because I'm sensible and you're not. I mean, come on.
Game, I'm done. That's it. That's me.
Because me and Plater have a little. We have a thing we need to settle when the alpha comes out.
Yes, we do.
So a while back, last year actually, me and Plater made a bet. We made a bet about when the beta, we didn't know it was an alpha back then, but when would we get like first test access to Odyssey, and when would the final release be? Now we don't know the final release, but I can already tell that I was way off, and Plato was less way off than I was.
I wasn't that far off, actually. Really.
You were pretty close. I'll give you that. You were pretty close. And the bet was that the winner would get the honor of being the first person to shoot the other person in the face, or kill them in whatever manner they like when we get access. So
is there a queue for that somewhere that I can get on?
The Bandies is, mate. I'm the one that won.
When Odyssey comes out, I have to fight Plato, and then we'll see what interesting ways Plato can come up with to kill me.
Yeah. A million ways to die in Elite. That's what it'll be.
I'm picturing Down to Earth standing there with his, like, looking dejected. Right behind him, Plater with the gun to the back of his head. Right behind Plater, Burr with the gun to the back of Plater's head. Right behind Burr, Trax with the just all the way back, just turtles all the way down.
Yep.
And an anaconda getting ready to land on all of them from above.
Target 10 on my head or something like that.
Yeah.
So what's next?
If actually this might fit in here. I don't think this is in the notes, but are you guys interpreting the what we've been told as the number of people that can be carried in a ship equals the number of seats in the ship currently?
Sadly.
I was trying to wiggle that out of him, and he answered the yes. Like, I chose the Crusader because it had 3 seats, and I felt like that was. Yeah.
So on the one hand, yes, it seems to indicate that. On the other hand, they gave the patented Frontier non-response response, which is
right.
You kind of say yes in your general direction, but later on maintain all plausible deniability to be like, no, I never explicitly said that. I was saying, yes, I was in a Crusader. So, like,
yeah. I don't mind if they change. I want them to change that.
It doesn't make me hopeful, but I'm not taking that as a confirmed... Like, it's because here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's not a single ship in the game of Elite Dangerous that has 4 crew seats as of now, like has 3 crew seats as of now. So that would mean that there is no possible way to fully multi-wing, physical multi-wing. Like, I think
it's very interesting.
They have to.
That. Yep.
They have to allow
That's what's
for
giving
that.
me hope.
Are we still? Do you think, Kai? Do you think we're going to be in a position where the dropship is actually a dropship? Do you think that's a possibility?
The dropship. I'm calling now, and again, this is as I'm sure Plater will point out.
They might as well have called it the lawnmower. Didn't do that either.
Complete speculation. I think that the dropship is going to be a loading screen mechanism whereby, if you sign up for Frontline Solutions or a CQC on foot or whatever, there's going to be a mechanism where you and up to 10, 20, whatever, however many they can get to instance work, depending on if instancing is better, you're going to be in the back of like a C-130, and it's going to be like, okay, guys, you ready? 20 seconds, 10 seconds, drop, and the little ramp's going to open and you run down. It's a loading screen in disguise, I think.
That's actually worse thing, because then we'll be seeing dropships do the dropship thing, but we can't actually do the dropship thing ourselves.
Yep, 100%. Dropship will still be dropship.
That's like, are you hungry? Do you want to see my sandwich?
The thing is, I reckon...
we try to look? Now we've been talking about some of the things we've seen from the video and some of the things we already know. I think it would be fun to go and try to look forward a little bit. So this is obviously going to be a little bit more speculations and hopes and dreams. But one thing that personally I'm missing from this is still mining. I would still love hand mining, like go out and find a rock and crack it open and get the valuable stuff inside. But do you guys think we're gonna get additional content updates later, just as we did with Horizon and the Beyond series, or do you think it's gonna be this is what you get, done deal, next update? I mean, obviously there will be like bug fix patches and that kind of stuff, but do you think we'll see massive content release patches down the line? Have they said anything about that? I can't even remember.
I think they've specifically said that. I can't believe that isn't what they're going to do. I don't want to believe that isn't what they're going to do, shall we say? But
Dr.
K
almost hinted towards it when she talked about almost future-proofing her new machine, and obviously there's no such thing as future-proofing, but she talked about her new planetary tech being able to handle water worlds and Earth-like worlds in the future and stuff like that. So it sounds like there's a plan for things coming, a roadmap per se.
The question is then, what do you think is going to be in a content update?
they have explicitly stated on multiple occasions, X mechanism or X item or X thing will not be in Odyssey, comma, at initial launch. So that right there very clearly indicates to me that they have plans for some future drops at some point, undefined whatever. Now, getting to the root of your initial thought, I 100% agree with you, Astro. As again, we're both Star Citizen players. I love the aspects of mining on foot and mining in an SRV, which they call an ROC, a rock in Star Citizen. And I think that is a huge miss that they didn't include it in Odyssey even at launch. That's a very cool gameplay loop where you can spend tons and tons of time, and I just really wish it would have been there. Will it be added later? Man, I hope so. If you look at the big three that are always compared to each other, Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, and No Man's Sky, 2 of those 3 have mining on foot and on planet side and whatever, and then the other one is Elite Dangerous. I hope that they add it, but I'm not holding my breath.
I really hope for it as well. I think that's the one gameplay loop that we so far know is not going to be there, that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well, actually. Yeah.
I think, honestly, ship interiors is going to be one of the future things that everybody's been begging for, and that eventually we're going to get. And I hope that once we do get that, we'll be able to get bounty missions to go get. And, you know, instead of an assassination mission, you go get this guy alive and take him somewhere. Throw him in the
Wouldn't that be great?
cargo hold,
Yeah.
throw him in the cell, and
yeah.
carry him somewhere.
Am I like the only person that has no interest in interiors at all? Like,
I'm not interested in interiors for the sake of interiors, but as long as there's as long as there's something compelling going on in there, and I'm not terribly interested in seeing the entire ship either.
Yeah.
If you've got like just selected rooms, and I can go to the engine room and repair the thing, or I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of interested in that aspect of it. If you gave me the entire Anaconda, I'd be bored.
I think it's
The things to do is what we're interested in.
I always think that the interiors, because I mean, there's a lot of talk around the exiting the ship and stuff. I know that's on our list of stuff to talk about. But I just feel like no, I've spent over 4 years stuck in the ship. I've been stuck in the ship for 4 years. I just want to get out. And
let me ask you later. Oh, go ahead.
Everyone talks about I want to walk around my ship. Everyone just says walk around, and it's like everyone's saying walk around, not I want internal ship gameplay. Everyone just says walk around, and I get really worried about this. I'm like, oh, why though?
Let me ask you, Plater, do you play Star Citizen at all?
I have it. I've bought into it. I have played it. I think it's totally unplayable at the moment still, and not enjoyable for me. My opinion.
Do you not though? Do you not like? Because for me, when I'm running around inside of a Caterpillar or inside of with the aspects of like backing your SRV manually onto a Cuddy Black and how tight it is, and then moving around and accessing the panel on the back of the ROC to take out cargo, and all of sort of that aspect of it. Yes, I 100% agree with you. I want meaningful gameplay inside of the ship. I want to see a science station where you could do your exobiology research. I want to see something to do with, mining stuff or trade stuff where you can maximize things. I want to see engineering. I want to see gameplay loops in there. But even just the limited amount that they have in Star Citizen now of dealing with the logistics of backing a vehicle onto your ship and how you move stuff around and how you access stuff, I find that to be very entertaining.
I have to agree that the aspect of like when you're gonna go rock mining or like mining from an SRV in a car in Star Citizen, you can look and say, oh, this ship is on paper is super good at it. It has a ramp and it's fast and it's maneuverable. But then you get it out and you realize that the ramp at the cargo bay is so narrow that while the rock does fit, it's just such a tight squeeze every time you get it in, that it's just not an enjoyable experience. So you always end up having that, what is the actual physical layout of the ship? How long of a trip do you have from cockpit chair to the hangar where the your car is stored, so you don't have to go through 15 doors in order to get there, because that's annoying too. So there's so many things where there's not necessarily gameplay, but it adds a lot to the game still. So I can kind of see it adds a lot of immersion to it, and it actually works. If I hadn't tried it, I would say, nah, it's not going to work. But actually spending some time doing it in Star Citizen, it actually kind of works.
Testify.
Now, to actually say what I was going to say about it, it was that the thing is that the running around the ship gets really freaking old in Star Citizen. The getting lost in a reclaimer or running around in, a Connie, you're running around it, and it's like, yeah, cool, let's run around to look at it and go, yeah, this is cool. But then you're just going to be flying your ship most of the time or getting off of it. And it doesn't add anything at present. And Star Citizen is the game that is, we'll have this fully in-depth universe that you can play in, and everything's built from the ground up, and it's to be interacted with, and you can do all of these things, but there isn't anything there at the moment. And for Elite to then go, yeah, we're going to do that now too. The ships have always been the star of Elite Dangerous currently. When Odyssey comes in, they've said, you are going to be the ship. Your suits are going to be like your ship. You're going to own your suit, and it's going to be, yeah, this is my suit. Do I want to have an animation every time I change suits? No. Do I necessarily need to walk from one end of my ship to the other to get out of it? And that's just added time. That there's a lot of stuff that just adds no gameplay that would be in there. So I've got to get out of my chair. I need to now go back to the back of my Corvette, get out the back, go down the stairs, and that's going to get really freaking old very, very quickly.
I suppose there's a balance to be found, isn't there? 'Cause
yeah.
You want immersion and you want gameplay, but also you don't want to sit there and go, okay, now I'm at work. So
I'm far more interested in gameplay than I am.
There is a line,
With that argument, you could also say, why do we have to fly between stations in Elite? Why can't we just go, I want to dock at that station, and it goes like...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. See, that's the right side of the line, if you know what I mean. There's like this. I think for me anyway, there's like a comfortable grey area in between where I'd be horrified if I didn't do long super cruise journeys every now and then. I love that stuff. I really do. And the same with the ship interior. I want a ship interior, but I don't want to see every single, not right out the bat anyway. I don't want to see every single nut bolt. Unlock a certain, the room's there, but the door's locked because they haven't done that bit of gameplay yet. I'm fine with that, and then when they finish, I don't know, the cleaning the bathroom mod, then they can open that door out, and then I get to, yes, clean toilets, whatever the gameplay loop is that's associated with that room, I'd be fine with that.
There's an awful lot of wasted resources. If you go and you kit out this interior, unless there is gameplay to support every aspect of it, why does it exist? Yeah, sure, you can say it's window dressing and it's the stuff that makes it look nice. But I'm the person that gets a meal, and if it's got decorative flowers on, I'm picking that shit off. Because why is it there? You wasted time. Same way, I get a dessert and they've put a bunch of spun sugar on top. Get that out of there. You could have just made me a better dessert in the first place. It's that kind of... And that's where I am with interiors.
To the meat of your point, what I'm not advocating for Frontier putting massive interiors inside of ships for absolutely no purpose. I am advocating for two things. Number one, for them putting limited interiors in ships, i.e. Running around in a ship. You mentioned in Star Citizen that running around in some ships is just annoying to you. I think that the smaller ships, it's much less so annoying than the larger ships. If you're running around inside of a Connie, or you're running around inside of a Carrack, where you've got like 3 rooms and then an elevator and then another room, it can get to be a little tedious on your 10th trip in the whatever. But if you do a limited form of interiors, a couple of set pieces where you could put in quote unquote player housing, a vanity thing where you have your little room and you could put your trophies and crap, people would eat that up. If you were to put in a couple of set piece rooms, and those set piece rooms being, engineering, science, the cargo room, and your sort of your housing, your bunk room, and you have, in the science room we have stuff that you can do with your exobiology data. You could do stuff, you could do this, you could do that, you could grow little mutant plants or whatever. In the cargo room, there's some meaningful gameplay loop of stuff that you can do to rearrange your cargo for more efficiency or whatever. In the engine room, there's stuff that you could do whether it's part of the engineering gameplay loop or repair or whatever. In the personal housing room, you have your little vanity crap set up, and you can spend $10 to get of arcs to have a little dog that runs around inside the room, you know, in a little astro suit. Like there are things you can put in where it would not just be empty space.
I mean, you've named a lot of stuff in there to me which is meaningless because it's vanity is particularly meaningless.
For me personally, I used to be in that camp where I don't need ship interiors if there's nothing to do, and I have since switched because I think what it does is it takes my crate, instead of it being what it currently is basically my avatar, and once I have interiors, it's now my home. I think it would add that immersion.
I would be very, very interested to hear from the rest of the panel on this issue, because the things that I mentioned I found very interesting, and it
of course you did.
Said you found them not at all interesting. What do you guys think, Burr and Astro?
There was one point I wanted to add before we do, though, is that some of the things you listed in there would create an imbalance in gameplay between Odyssey owners and non-Odyssey owners, which would be an issue, and you couldn't have that because essentially the Odyssey gameplay will not change the in-space gameplay and the ship-to-ship combat gameplay, and that we know because everything's on foot.
So, for example, if you talk about a science station where you could do stuff with your exobiology data, non-Odyssey players don't have access to that anyway. So how would that imbalance things?
Yeah, but the engineering bit would that you mentioned previously. I did say some of the things you mentioned. I didn't say all of them.
But let's be honest. There's a massive imbalance, or there was up until October 27th, between people that had Horizons and people that didn't, because one set had access to engineering and the other set didn't. Frontier was not at all reticent about saying, whoops, there's going to be an imbalance between these two groups based on who has bought more content. Why would you think they would start now?
And the reason why is because they have rolled it into one. Like, because it's at this point where it's a very separate gameplay loops. It's very, very separate. They're moving away from the everything that you do affects everything. It's very much they've said the on-foot stuff can be played completely on its own, and you could ignore the ship-based stuff, or you can do the ship-based stuff and ignore the foot-based stuff. They've said that.
But they allowed for that imbalance for 5 years.
Yeah, they did, and that was not a good idea. So why would they fix the problem and then go back and double down on it? And also, in fact, more importantly, none of that's coming. So it's a moot point. Like, more importantly, it's not promised in Odyssey.
You said what would be the point of having interiors, and I said you could if you had meaningful stuff in there, and then you said that the stuff that I mentioned wasn't meaningful. So I'm still curious what Burr and Astro and Trax and Tweak think about, or would any of those things that I mentioned be meaningful to you, or do you find them to be a waste?
Personally, I think
I'll be so quick. I honestly, like, because I don't think any of it is going to happen, I'm kind of in that camp. But when I start entertaining the thought, the thing that I think is ship interiors, I would not care unless it was gameplay, but it's an ARX farm, and I am shocked that they're not like tilling that field, and that's all. Like little pets and stuff running around, like huge mistake. So much money.
Free money.
Do you want to have red curtains? Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Show us the box. I think the ships in League are massive. They're very, very big. A full ship interior with every single corridor, every single room. No. It's a waste of time, and it's going to be too much space. But having a small, select number of rooms that you can either access through a corridor, access through an elevator, like it could be like in Star Trek, where you just have a turbo lift that just takes you to whatever part of the ship you need to go. That would be fine, and I could see them add some meaningful gameplay around it. I think it would add a lot to it.
I tell you what, the cat. I don't think that stuff is coming in Odyssey vanilla. Let's call it right from the bat. I suppose I'm sitting here looking at my fleet carrier at the moment, and that to me strikes me as an ideal opportunity to have, I don't know, a ready room or something like that. And I would be astonished if Frontier didn't use that as an opportunity to ARX farm. And it horrifies me as well because I'd be well up for that. So.
It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And you would think that it's going to happen eventually. They've said not at launch, but it's got to be the #1 requested feature from the community right now. Yeah.
Ship interiors or FC? Because like I agree with Burr that FC interiors I think would be amazing, but I also think ship interiors are. If you were to ask people, what do you want the absolute most? I would think you're going to get some version of one of three answers: crossplay, ship interiors, or more of the spectrum of atmospheric landings. Like those are the I could be wrong, but I suspect.
No, I think you're right. We hear ship interiors all the time, all the time.
So if the players all want it, and you can make tons of money doing it,
Should we? I want to try to move on to a very hopefully short topic. Burr, you did a video on it that I think was brilliant. There was a small, I don't know if it was a slip of the tongue or what it was regarding 0G content. I don't know if you recall the exact sentence, how you framed it. I can't remember it now.
I can. Let me tell you exactly what I think about that as well. So Arthur, I can't remember what they were discussing, but Arthur said on a live stream late last week, in actual fact, I think it was.
Arthur being one of the community managers for.
Said don't take that to mean that. So he said something along the lines of don't take that to mean that something to do with 0G or something like that isn't in Odyssey. And to which everybody, and myself included, immediately went, whoa, hang on, does that mean I'm going to be outside my ship repairing panels or floating down? I don't think it is that, to be brutally honest. What I think is probably coming is, so outposts and things like that. So not the Coriolis starports and the big ones that use gravity, that use centrifugal force for gravity. It's the little outposts have got no kind of artificial gravity system whatsoever. So I think you at some point you'll find yourself in there, and I think you'll probably have magnets on your boots. Is what I think.
So the way where that quote came from was in one of their many attempts to get that gameplay footage from that little mission that they did. What happened was they didn't say which one, but apparently either Bruce or Zach or both died. And Art went into the dev kit and just did the handy dandy summon the other guys to, within 500 feet of my location, forgetting that they weren't in a ship. So he was thinking they were going to pop up in a ship 500 meters away, and what happened is they popped up just in their suit floating in space, which caused such a problem that they had to like crash it or whatever. They had to do a hard reset. And he was like, because there was no way for them to handle that. There was no mechanism for that. And then right after that, he said, that's not to say there's no 0G in Odyssey.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people, like as you just said, people jumped on it to be like, 0G content in Odyssey confirmed. He did not say that. He just said, that's not to say there isn't. That's like me saying, I'm not going to say, Trax, that I'm not going to give you $1 million. I didn't just say I'm going to give Trax $1 million. I just didn't say I'm not saying that. You know?
So I think it probably affects some aspects of some stuff in the game, but whether you're going to be actually doing spacewalks and things like that, no, I don't think you are.
It is the standard Frontier super vague cryptic statement of you can read anything you like into this and 50 different people will take it 50 different ways and run with it.
It was an intriguing statement nonetheless. It was interesting.
It for sure was. I'm not trying to belittle you for jumping on it because it made me
it sounds like you are, guys. Do you also want to bring it down a notch? No, I'm joking.
I love you, Burr. Get over here. Sit on my lap.
When I saw it, I was like, I also had like that one, just like where you just began, that thought begins to run your head like, okay, hold on, if we get 0G, how much other stuff could be in Odyssey that we haven't? I think that your analysis of it is correct, that I don't think we're going to see 0G as part of Odyssey, while it could be fun. And to the point with the larger stations and their centrifugal force, the social hubs we're seeing are right at the same level as the landing pads, and you need to get out of the range before you get any significant gravity. So they should be in what would be considered microgravity as well.
I think we may very well see 0G, EVA, stuff like that as part of Odyssey, if what you're talking about is a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, sort of on the tail end of Odyssey after multiple iterations. Possibly. I'm not saying It's coming, but possibly. But for on Odyssey launch, absolutely not. I would not expect it at all.
No.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments on Zero G? Otherwise, I'm gonna move on in the interest of time. Take that as a no. Okay. So in the gameplay video, Braden did say that they had more to share over, I think he said, the coming weeks. So based on that, I'm guessing we may, yes, no, perhaps, gonna have another either gameplay video or another more dev diary type video, or at least something is gonna come before alpha. So we've talked about a lot of different things that we would like to see and we're hoping to see in the future, but what would you prefer, if you could choose, what topic should that potential video be about from Future?
Well, can I just jump in here straight away? Before Frontier started showing dev diaries, I was really excited for dev diaries. Now that they've started showing dev diaries, I'm not so excited for dev diaries. Honestly. I think I'd probably be more interested in dev diaries in a post Odyssey launch world. You know, to see it and then get some proper details on how it all works and how it all hangs together and why they made the decisions that they did. Going forward, I'll just tick off the obvious ones. I want to see more about on-foot exploration. I want to see what the hell the Dyson plant gun thing is about. And I want to see more.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if that thing shoots out, grabs something, and comes back, I'm done. That's it. I'm out. Don't quote me on that. I might not do it, but and I want to see what their idea of scavenger gameplay is about. So, in terms of what else do I want to see? I really want to see exploration, and I really want to see scavenging, and I really want to see if there's an Odyssey equivalent of combat zones, or what these big battles are that they're talking. So everything. I basically want to see everything, but I'm not awfully excited about seeing any more dev diaries. Honestly, I know that sounds really rude, and I'm not being rude. I've been really uninspired by them, and I just want to see what the game does now, really.
So you just want anything that doesn't involve people pointing a gun at someone?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean, actually, the first-person shooter stuff is probably the thing that appeals to me the most. I am kind of an FPS guy of old, but you know, Elite has never been for me entirely about shooting, or entirely about exploration, or entirely about the other things that are in Elite that I can't think of right now. It's the whole kind of existing in that world. So I just need to see more mining. Thank you. I just need to see more of that. But I'm so sorry. I don't want to see any more dev diaries because they make me want to eat my own face.
Well, don't do that.
Have I just killed the conversation? I'm sorry about
No, I was like, okay, so anybody else that wants to see anything from a potential new video?
I don't hate the dev diaries quite that much, but yeah, anything without shooting should probably be the focus, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm with you. I've been pretty clear with my points of the dev diary in the past that I think they're good, they're pretty, but they're not dev diaries.
No.
They're more like promotional hype trailers, kind of. Yeah. That's just how I see them at least.
I feel like the one that the release of information that we've got, the two releases of information that we've got recently, that to me most accurately would be sort of referred to as dev diaries, were the stream last Thursday after that little edited gameplay footage. That stream with Gareth was, to me, dev diary level of question and answers and actual information exchange.
Yeah, those interviews are great. They're great. I love those.
And the one a couple weeks back with Dr. K on the Planet Tech and the lighting stuff, I think that if you were to call that a dev diary, I would say accepted. That was great. Good job. The other
That's
stuff,
what they call discovery
those were promo
scammers.
videos. Those were promo videos. I've got some stuff, but I wanted to wait and let other people go. Who wants to play it or tracks?
Not I.
Astro?
No, I've set my
I was just going to say,
So-
I'm very much of the opinion that we need to see other aspects, because we have an awful lot of the focus on the first-person shooter stuff, and that there's lots of things that we really should be seeing, and very sequential stuff. So going from this space to ground, like we've seen nothing, we've seen no transitions. We haven't seen any. What's it going to be like dropping into an atmosphere versus what we currently have, getting out of the ship. We know it's going to be a fade to black, but how jarring is it going to be? What's the method by which you do it? Because there's going to be an awful lot of people finding stuff out for themselves coming up. When the alpha launches, a little bit more of a this is how you leave your ship kind of thing, or this is how this looks, and kind of this is how you pick up some missions in the social hubs. This is what the social hubs look like. There's a lot of stuff where we haven't seen any transitions, and we haven't seen anything linear. It's always just little snippets of this, snippets here, and I would like to see something a bit more fleshed out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would like to see as. What's that?
I said unleash the Kai.
All right. As Plater just stated, I would like to see atmospheric entry, and also what are the flight mechanics going to be like in atmosphere? They were asked pointedly in one of their Q&A sessions or whatever, like, hey man, what are the flight characteristics or mechanics going to be like in light atmospheres? And they give an answer of, we haven't decided yet. I would very much like to see that. I want to see scavenging. I want to see hacking. I want to see the inventory system. How exactly, what does it look like, your inventory interface with your stuff when you're in FPS mode, or when you're in your ship /SRV and are going into your equip mode?
Here's a serious question about that. Sorry, Kai, to break your flow just a second, but a serious question about the inventory thing, although as funny as it sounds. If I kill Kai, can I loot him?
No.
So yes, but...
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can, but... What you
They've
can
said
loot
there
is
won't be any
limited to
looting.
what is in my backpack and not what is in my my suit or my weapons.
Sure.
When did they say that? Because they said that there'd be no looting.
They said that.
When?
Yeah.
Anyone?
In the last week, when in the stream after they showed the mission thing, they asked Gareth, what about the stuff that you have? What happens if you, for example, got killed while you guys were running out with that power core? What happens to your stuff when you die? And Gareth said 2 things happen when you die. Number 1, you fail the mission, so it doesn't matter what, you fail the mission. And number 2, if you have items on you, i.e. Grenades, ammo, mission items such as that power core or whatever, those items are in your backpack and are lootable until you get back to the ship. Once you get back to the ship, or get back someplace where you can access your storage locker and put it in, then you can save it. But even then...
That's cool, because he didn't say that. He said, everything in your backpack is lost. You can't be looted until you get back to your ship.
And they asked, what about your guns or whatever? And he said, no, not your stuff that gets engineered.
Yeah, it isn't like lost, as in you can only get it when you go back to your ship and you respawn. But it's not lootable. They've said there is no looting.
They
did not
specifically
say.
said in the weapons question and answer, could you have stuff on the ground and other players pick it up? And they said yes.
They didn't say that.
That was in
They
response
absolutely
to. That was in response to, can I drop stuff for someone else to pick up?
Yeah.
I believe.
Exactly.
But that's distinctly different to me killing Kai and then looting him.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, I don't.
It was
okay,
like, can you
I don't
drop
know.
ammo and grenades for your friends? And they said yes, others can pick up your dropped items. But they have said previously with looting, there isn't any. You can't loot people.
Okay.
They have said that.
Okay.
I would like to see what it comes out to on March 29th, then we'll know. But so continuing the stuff, I want to see what this pre-order exclusive suit is. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see what the station gameplay details are like inside. As Burr said, I would very much like to see the exobiology stuff. And lastly, again, for as much as they've touted this sphere of combat stuff, we haven't seen any of that. I would like to see what it looks like when ships and SRVs and people engage in mixed combat. Is it because they've said very clearly, it's not just a situation of the biggest ship will be the best one to bring at all times, but we've sort of heard that before, and then we see how missions actually go when you do the planetary scans by just flying up and never even getting in your SRV or whatever. So I want to see for myself, is it just that, you know, vets crap on you know, pythons, which crap on cobras, which crap on SRVs, or is there some mechanism that somehow, some way that I can't fathom makes it sort of meaningful interplay, and that it's not just biggest vehicle wins? And then lastly, for all of the talk early on in the Odyssey process of there's a significant refresh of the underlying code base, and how we were all saying, man, all of these things that they keep talking about is we're excited for new and interesting ways of people to play together and do stuff. Like, I think we all made the comments early on, something to the extent of, well, okay, the only way that this works is if they strengthen instancing, strengthen ways that we can connect with each other, and we have heard no word of that. So I'm very much
Almost
wondering.
the opposite word.
Yeah, I'm very much wondering, like, was that the wall that they hit, or are things great and they just haven't said anything, so we don't know, or like, is that? I mean, that to me is the biggest question mark of all of this. I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, we have to remember Frontier loves to. They love to do these big. Oh. Yeah, they love to not say anything and then have a lot of surprises when things come out. Yeah. They do that all the time with everything. Yeah. They love to tease things, but not really reveal anything in full before it's there right in front of you.
The mining and exploration did that, didn't it? When that originally came out, I think it's fair to say no one knew anything about that coming until it pretty much arrived.
Yeah. Okay, so regarding the alpha is now 2 weeks away, and we know that usually they take the snapshot, or maybe we should just explain for the people who have not been part of a beta or alpha test for Dangerous before. The way it works is often around 2 weeks before the test starts, Frontier is taking a snapshot of the live server, and that is then a completely parallel basically a parallel universe from the one you are in on the live server. That means when the alpha starts, you're gonna be wherever you were when that snapshot was taken. You're gonna be in that ship. It's gonna have that engineering. It's gonna have that cargo that you had at that point in time. And that also means that whatever you do in the test is gonna stay in the test, and nothing carries over to the live game. So you can go and you can blow up all your ships and lose all your money. It doesn't matter, because after the 6 weeks, the alpha concludes, that parallel universe is going to get deleted, and you only have the live game left. So with that in mind, we know that the snapshot is probably going to be taken here doing next week at some point. Have you done any kind of preparations for it, or are you just going to go, I'm just going to be where I am and see how it goes from there?
Definitely option B for me.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, zero.
I wouldn't know what preparation
prep.
to do, to be honest. I wouldn't. Yeah.
I know. Laura has been stacking up engineering materials, for instance, in case we get access to some engineers, so they don't have to go and farm engineering materials, assuming it's the same materials, of course.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Astro, actually, because I figured you probably have a much better idea, certainly a better idea than me, anyway. Do you think the alpha is going to be as much of the entire finished product as possible, or do you think it's going to be a very focused, right, we need them to do X, Y, Z, so we'll only give them X, Y, Z, and then in week 1 we'll X, and in week 2 we'll give them X and Y? Do you know what I mean? Or do you think they'll just throw the door open and off you go?
I think they're going to show or to give us something in the beginning, but not everything. I think they're going to give us most things, but they're purposely going to leave some things out.
Okay.
What? Cargo full? Yeah, it is. No, it's not. It's weird. But I think they're gonna, as we talked about, I think they're gonna release it gradually, because they don't want to have people going all over the place. They want to have some focused feedback on a specific topic, and then once they kind of got that topic dialed in, then they will release things over time. I don't know if that's the case. They may just open the floodgates and everybody can just go and do their thing.
Yeah, I suppose one of the problems with Elite is that you can go anywhere. So that I guess I was curious just because you can go anywhere, people will go anywhere, and then you might end up in a situation where no one's testing anything really because we're all kind of all over the place, sort of thing. So I wondered if they sort of restrict us to a planet or a number of planets. You know, like the original alpha and beta tests when they came out when the game first launched. I think it had like 2 or 3 star systems or something like that. It was really, really small, and then they sort of slowly expanded the bubble. I wondered if they'd sort of do something like that, or
yeah, or maybe they're just gonna say, even though credit has very little meaning in in Odyssey or the Alpha. Sorry, maybe they're gonna go and say, hey. These specific type of missions are for the next week. You're gonna pay 10 times the payout on the alpha server.
Okay.
Encourage people to go pick up these things so they can progress quicker in the game, something like that. Or maybe they're gonna give more engineering materials than they usually would, so that encourages people to go and do that. So it's not like a 6-7 hour grind to go and engineer one module.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
I would be less likely to believe that they're going to gate content by sort of location, like you have to be in these 3 systems in the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
I would be more likely to believe that you could do whatever you want anywhere in the bubble, but they're going to gate, maybe gate like, hey, for the next 2-3 days, this phase of alpha, we're testing, the mission system. For the next 2-3 days, we're going to be testing exobotany. For the next 2-3 days, we're going to be testing like more. And I'm not saying that I think that this is going to happen. I'm just saying I think it's more likely that they would gate it based on the content loops than they would based on locations.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that feels.
I think
great.
haven't they actually said on stream as well that they're going to be doing it in phases? They said like a phased kind of feature, so we kind of know that's coming. I don't imagine they'd change locations because otherwise they'd have to move people from all over the galaxy into a couple of systems. And I just don't see Frontier spending that amount of time fiddling with the save.
Content in the beginning,
especially if you can get out of your ship immediately.
What I find interesting and am curious about more so is the fact that they've said that the alpha starts March 29th and it's going to be a 6-month period. So that means it's going to end like May or 6 weeks. Sorry, I said month there. 6-week period. And so that means it's going to end sort of May 10th-ish. And if that's the case, the statement that they had made to their investors through that London Stock Exchange report or whatever basically had indicated that they had intended for, at the time that statement was made at least, that they had intended for Odyssey to drop by the end of the fiscal year, which was May 30th or whatever, the last day of May. If that is the case, that the 6-week alpha ends May 10, are you thinking that the plan is that they're just going to have sort of an alpha and then 2-3 weeks of like last minute polish and then release without a beta? Or do you think it's going to be 6 weeks alpha and then some undetermined amount of beta, which would theoretically have to push it past the end of May for a release date?
I'll tell you what occurred to me.
Release equals beta.
The word in all their marketing and all their sales so far, the word beta has been quite conspicuous by its absence. And I wondered if we can pay to access the alpha, but the beta, which will be 2-3 weeks or whatever, I'm guessing at the end, that will be completely thrown open to the public. That was what I was wondering.
I think the beta is the launch. I think the PC launch is the beta up until console release. And I just don't think it's being called that. And yeah, I'm being cynical, but honestly I think that's the case, that it's just not being called.
I'm with you.
What it is, shovel's a shovel, a spade's a spade. They're going, nah, this is a digging implement. So no, wait. Call it what it is,
Yeah, that's
I was kind of thinking that the 6 weeks alpha would be, as they said, sort of rolling instance of, okay, we're testing this for this phase, like iterated on whatever, and it's basically fixed the mechanics, and it's only accessible to those people that paid ahead, number one, to drive up revenue, and number two, to sort of make it a little easier that it's like a limited, more finite number of players. And then after alpha ended on May the 10th, maybe a week or two to work on stuff, and then an undetermined amount of time, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, of beta. And beta, as Burr was just saying, my thought would be, beta would be, it's open to everyone, and we think we have all of the little tweaking done that we wanted. Now this is the stress test, where we just want to put as many people on it and see if we can crash the damn thing.
Yeah, I actually think Plater is right, because Bruce, a few weeks back on one of the streams, in response to a question about the staggered release, made the statement that, look at it this way, console players, when it gets to you guys, all the testing will have been completed and we will have it in the place that we want it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
almost says that they're going to be using the PC release as more testing ground
Quite
in order to
literally,
get it
yeah.
to where they want it. Yeah.
But that doesn't negate the fact that they could still do a beta as a large-scale PC stress test.
There might be some boardroom reasons why it's not, like, why the specific language isn't being used, but it seems that way. It is conspicuous, so it seems that maybe it's something like that, whereas the alpha is for trying to fiddle with the numbers and see if the rewards and the bounties and things for different crimes and successes are accurate, and then put it out there for the big stress test. Maybe it's not ideal. Maybe this is kind of what we've come to because of the way things got pushed back and back and back and back, and now you can't say beta without violating some signed agreement somewhere in a boardroom. Maybe.
So you're saying, Trax, that your speculation is that beta stress test is just release day. Praise God and pass the ammunition. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if there isn't another beta, then it's going to be a stress test. Like it or not. That's not speculation.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if they launched this thing without stress testing it. So
Agreed.
I think the reason why they're running first of all, I was surprised that we have an alpha, just one. What we assume is going to be one long alpha, a 6 week. I was assuming it was going to have 1 week up, 1 week down, 1 week up, 1 week down, where they tested much like they did with a lot of the Horizon things.
To be clear, that they haven't said they're not doing that. They've just said alpha will last 6 weeks. They never said it'll be a continuous up for 6 weeks that I heard.
I think that's how most people have understood it. But if that's not the case, that it's a continuous 6 week alpha, then it's very poorly communicated. And expectation management is all over the place. So I'm pretty sure it's going to. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 6 weeks up. But I also think that that they're aiming for, after the alpha, they're going to have maybe a week to go and just polish off the last things. Because I think when they launch the alpha, it is going to be mostly our first shot of where they think the finished thing is going to be. And then they're going to go back, they're going to give themselves a week to just polish up the last things. And then they're going to run a very short beta. It might just be a weekend. Maybe it's going to be a full week. I don't think it's going to be more than that, because they want numbers. And they want a lot of people online in that in a very short amount of time, so that they can see how many people can you put in this game before things begin to break. They want to know where the glass ceiling is.
If they go with the stated March 29th start, May 10th, 6 week end of the alpha process, whatever form that takes, that still allows for the time that you're talking about of a very, very, like a week after that. So that's May 17th, and then like a week, very, very hyper limited stress test beta. That still leaves you, that's the 24th, that still leaves you a week of last minute polish before May 31st, theoretical end of last deadline date release for end of fiscal year. That still does fit your theory there.
Yeah, I think they could just squeeze it in if they really wanted to.
If they don't, that's kind of crazy.
And I think the reason to the question of why this is an alpha and not a beta, I think a lot of it is that people have been so used to betas being free, and then why all of a sudden am I going to be paying for a beta when in the past they were free? So I think it's part of it, but it may also be because if you sell exclusive access to, they call it a beta, and they are planning to do that large scale thing later, then all of us say, hey, by the way, now the alpha is free for everybody, and then the people who pay for it, there will probably be some of those like, do what you said that there was a paid thing, and now all of a sudden you're opening it up to everybody.
That's a good point.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll guarantee you that some people are going to be mad about that if they do it. So that's why I think alpha is paid content. This is where they iron out all the bugs. Then there's going to be an extremely short beta where they're going to stress test the game, and they're going to see where the servers break.
And it's the same thing they did. It's the same thing they did with fleet carriers, just under a different name. Fleet carriers, they had the first beta, which in this case would be like this, was, hey, let's fix the numbers, let's tweak the loops, let's get the stuff locked in, the mechanics. And then they did a one after that, the second beta or whatever, where they brought in all of the consoles, they brought it into as many people as possible, and they were like, let's just see if we can crash stuff.
Yeah, I think that's how they're gonna. I might be wrong, but that's just how I would do it. As the last step would be, let's crash this thing. Let's see how much it can take.
Well, because here's the deal. Yeah, as Trax pointed out, you're gonna have a stress test no matter what you do. The question is, do you do the stress test under the label of beta where no one's gonna get mad? Or do you do the stress test under the label of, for some reason, I'm an idiot who has ignored all of MMOs throughout the history of time and booked a week paid time off on the date that you told me it was gonna be live, and now I'm complaining because the servers crashed. Duh, it happens every time.
We all know what the right answer to that is, and so I think if they turn out to have chosen the wrong answer, it wasn't anybody on the coding team and it wasn't anybody on the CM team. It was somebody else with a checkbook that made that choice. Yeah,
100%.
Can I just say, I booked a week off
for
about
6 minutes left, and I have a few quick fire questions. I just want you guys to run over here before we wrap up. So, when alpha hits, what is the first thing you're going to do? Where's the first place you're going to go?
There is right below our home port of Wilson Port. There is a planetary site on the planet immediately below called Tool Base, which I'm very familiar with because I go there all the time doing just real simple cargo missions. I want to go there and see what it looks like now, if you see what I mean. I want to see how it's changed.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna go to a planet where we can already land to see the difference.
Yes.
Okay. Plater?
Sorry.
Trax, go.
Okay, go for it.
I'm a VR player. The first thing I'm doing is just gazing upon planets from space, and then I'll fly down to them and be disappointed.
Okay.
Hello there.
Plater.
Thargoid sites.
Yeah.
Thargoid sites followed by Guardian sites, because, I mean, who doesn't want to be totally dwarfed by these things and stand there and be like, this is creepy, really creepy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think I'm with Plater on this one. I think one of the first places I'm gonna go after I have my skull caved in by Plater, then I'm gonna go to the Thargoid site.
Actually, let's just do it there. Why don't we do it at a Thargoid site? Problem solved.
Oh yeah, you can cave as a Thargoid.
Yeah, you don't care where you kill him, do you?
No, I'm not fussy at all.
You guys have one stone.
Reese just asked if you'd live stream it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be live streamed, of course. Kai, I think Kai and Tweak. Wow.
I'm gonna go to Dab's Hope, followed by the Inra base, and be disappointed by neither one of them having functioning doors.
First thing I would do if I had access to the alpha would be go to the main station in our home system and have a squad meetup on foot.
Oh my god, that's just going to be unbelievable. Yeah.
It should be stated, just in case anybody isn't aware, if they don't know Tweak. Tweak is an Xbox player, so that's hence his statement of, if I did have access, it would be this.
Right.
That will be the first thing I do when I get access to Odyssey, but yeah. I'll be watching and living vicariously through all of you. So
No,
he'll be enjoying his Michael Collins moment.
Yeah.
Okay, then final thing, is there anything else that you are specifically looking forward to? Like, what do you want to, after you've seen the sights, most of it seems to be sightseeing. So what will be one of the first game mechanics you want to go and test out after we've done all the sightseeing? Let's do it in the opposite order. Tweet.
For sure, I'm going to a settlement and getting in a big shootout somewhere.
Got it. Kai?
One of the things I'm most interested to see after it actually goes out is with FPS games as they exist now, it's sort of a readily accepted idea in the community that keyboard and mouse has a massive advantage over console, controller players, and for that reason, most controller players in a lot of FPS games, they add like some aim assist mechanism for controller players. I'm very curious to see if Frontier has embraced that, or if they're just going to sort of have it be, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe that the supposition is wrong, and that with how they are doing their mechanics of FPS, controller players will not be at a disadvantage. But I'm very much interested to see how that interplay of keyboard and mouse versus controller players is going to play out in the FPS.
Got it. Tracks?
This is a little bit unstarry-eyed, but I'm planning on messing with controls a little bit in that same vein. Figure out if I'm going to be happier with a mouse sitting next to me on a table. Pretty sure I can do movement with my thruster buttons on my HOTAS, but yeah, we'll figure that out. And so, just true to form for Elite, we'll figure out controls before we actually play the game.
Fair enough. Plater?
I actually want to get out and walk around my station, Places Tyranny, and check out the social hubs.
Okay, all sightseeing.
A little bit of sightseeing, but also seeing what's there mission-wise, like where the mission's offered,
okay.
what are the shops like, all that kind of stuff. I want to see what that's like, because it's going to be an important part of the gameplay.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm really curious to see not just we know there's a to a degree that you can do a kind of run and gun element to the first person shooter stuff, but I'm really intrigued to see what roles you can explore there. So whether there's a decent role for a sniper, whether there's a decent role for an anti-vehicle guy, that kind of thing. I'd really like to see the first person shooter side broken down into what you can actually achieve. I'm really keen to mess with that stuff. And really wants to know how the camera system is going to work. Really wants to know.
Can imagine.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I'm going to do after done my sightseeing is probably to go and begin to look at what kind of different suits are available, what kind of weapon options are there, what kind of stats do we get around them. Do we have anything regarding engineering? Like begin to dive into basically suit builds. How do we make suits, and how do we make how much customization do we have with that?
I will be staring intently at your channel, waiting for you to teach me that stuff.
Exactly. But with that, we actually reached the end of the notes, and we are 27 seconds over time. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Unless anyone has any closing thoughts they absolutely have to share. Guess that's enough. Okay. So, huge thank you, of course. If one of you guys want to hang around and continue to stream, then you can of course do that, or whatever channel you're streaming on. But at least this concludes the quote-unquote official part of this Superfriendos live stream. So thanks a lot to the Burr Pit and Commander Burr. Thanks a lot to Luke Screw and JN Tracks. Thanks a lot to Elite Week with Kai and Tweet, and to Commander Plater for joining here today, and for having a very wonderful and very hopefully entertaining chat.
Oh,
Thanks a lot, guys. That was really good fun.
Thanks to you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. See you guys around.
Thanks for having.
All right.
Right. Okay, guys, so obviously muted myself, muted everyone else there, so we can close out appropriately on our own. I am going to say thank you very much to everyone that has been watching. It's always appreciated for you guys to come and listen to these types of things, and you can hear our opinions on stuff, because we all have varying opinions, and if you only listen to one channel, you only get one opinion, which isn't good for anybody, safe to say. Listen to lots of stuff, make up your own mind. That's cool. So I'm going to encourage everyone that's watching on YouTube, if you haven't already, to hit the like button on the way out. It'd be much appreciated if you did. Those who are watching on Twitch, if you feel like you want to follow, that's wicked, please do. And if you're watching on either one, you haven't done the thing on the other one, which is follow and to subscribe, then you should probably think about doing that. We'll be streaming again during the week, probably Tuesday at the very earliest. Can't guarantee that, because who knows, I might feel unwell. We'll see what happens. But I am going to say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all very, very soon. We're also going to raid someone on Twitch, so do hang around for that too. Going to raid Mal for the win, I think. He's a wonderful lad, very hardworking, and very good. He's also partnered these days, which is fantastic. So we'll definitely get that underway. Oh, I need to have my audio on, do we? So let's get that going. And I say once again, guys, thank you very much for watching. Commander Plater out.